Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? I'm welcoming you to the TDU live critique session that we're going to be doing on lighting challenge number 6, the little boy and snail, the work in progress. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be going on my computer. I'm going to be reviewing the 10 projects that we have submitted so far. I'm going to be focusing in on this, but feel free to ask questions off to the side. Add them in the comments section. I will answer them at the end and go through any questions that you may have. If you are missing or if you see your image not here right now, I will be glad to go back after this video and make a supplement if I can't get to it now. But if you guys have any questions, if you have any technical issues, just throw them up there. I will be peeking at the screen, but I will probably be flowing with this stuff, and I know myself too well to know that I will be a little bit focused on this and may miss something. So, okay, without much further ado, let's get into it a little bit. So with this challenge, one of the things I really like about doing these is that, you know, we create the scenes using with Sarah Tarr, who's our modeler and asset creator. And I light them, or Jasmine lights them, and we kind of start to get a feel for the set. And the thing that I really like about this process is as you all are going through it, I learn more and more, and we're able to talk about and get a real understanding of like what it means to make this scene really sing. And so like some of the core elements of it. So as we're going through it, I'm going to talk through some of the core elements that I really think would make this scene strong, and some of the elements that I really think that you guys should be focusing in on to get there, because there are a lot of challenges to this, right? There are, you know, it's like any scene, there are challenges and there are opportunities. In this scene, the challenges are like, how are you going to get good shaping on this boy as he's so close to the ground? He also has this hat on and there's going to be blocking light. Like, how do you get shaping up underneath here? It's really, really difficult. Also, like, how do you get focus here and here at the same time? How do you get this snail to pop off from the super complex background of complex shapes? But there are opportunities too, right? There are like really good opportunities to create a nice focus, because the way that the scene is composed is there's a nice central element, right? Like normally our scenes, they're a little bit more, you'll have some more options as to what it is that you're looking at. You know, like you can move the camera on a little bit. But this one, because we wanted to really make it as efficient as possible, really just like dialed into this one scene. So you're really just looking down this tunnel to really get the sense. So getting that visual tunnel in there is going to be very, very, very important. So yeah, and then we'll talk a little bit more, because like I said, there's a lot of variety. We love seeing this stuff. We love seeing all the different ways that you guys are lighting it up, because again, they're just more creativity than I could imagine. So I'm going to go through each one of these one at a time. Like I said, if you have questions, put them in the comments down below. I'll check back up on here at the end to see what the deal is. So I'm going to go, I'll start. I had this image up, so I'm going to go ahead and start here. So this one's really strong, and I really, really like the tunneling effect that we're seeing, you know, starting with, and what I mean by that is like creating values of darker to lighter. If we look at like some of this reference, like let me actually find, there's like this type of reference is really nice, because what you see are dark values here in the foreground versus what we're seeing back here, which is much lighter lifted value. So we're thinking dark to light as we go further away from the camera. Actually, I'm going closer to the camera. So like dark in here, like kind of dark blacks, and then as you go move back, the black points get lifted, and that really kind of centers the eye in towards the center. And then our payoff right in the middle is these two characters. So so this is doing a really nice job of that, and really kind of focusing us into the center. The areas that I would really like to see this, and also getting the good bounce light up onto the character is really, really good. The areas that I would like to see get worked on in this one specifically, a couple things. One is the hand here. It's there are some warm elements in it. Like you can definitely see some subsurface happening here and a little bit around the finger. The problem is at the back side of it, and this is going to be a struggle for you all. The back side of it's losing saturation and starting to look like a little bit dead. Like if you look at the back of my hand, there's a lot of warmth, a lot of saturation there. The problem with this scene is that you've got a lot of green values around it. See, he's all up in this grass, right? So the problem is that naturally that bounce light's going to want to desaturate the hand color by just like sucking out the warmth color and replacing it with some green values. And all that ends up happening is it looks a little bit gray. So what you want to do is, I know the instinct is to put in this bounce, like the screen bounce, like, because that's what the surrounding area is. And you're not wrong for thinking that. Your head is in the right place. You're focusing on the right stuff. But the problem is that's counter to the character's hero color. And so we just want to like fake that a little bit by not going like pure warmness, but also just like bounce it in. We'll maybe make that neutralize that light so that you're not putting green light, and maybe just putting some neutral light on there. And because what you want is this hand to feel alive and to feel like a connection point there. Another thing about this one that I would do is I would tweak the camera position slightly, just because we're getting this like perfect tangent between his finger and the edge of his face. Maybe create like a little bit of separation because there's anticipation there, right? I think the Adam and Eve, or the Adam and God thing, where they're like they're about to touch fingers in the Sistine Chapel, and there's energy there. There's like dynamic energy between their fingers. Where here we're kind of losing that by having them connected. So just kind of like rotate the camera around just a little bit, just to create a little bit of separation. And the last thing I want to say about this one is that we are getting some super, super dark areas right in there. Again, love the idea of creating this tunnel space, but you don't want to like this is like a flat black in there. And if you can see from the reference, I think this is really good. Like if you look in here, it's dark, but there's also some like detail in there. And so you want to kind of find that balance point between those two. But this one is going really strong. Really like the direction it's heading. Next up, we have this one. So you've kind of parsed out some of the foliage, the grass, which is totally fine. But you can still definitely get that same tunnel effect going. The things that I was focusing on this one was just the color of the snail. Like it's not really popping too much off of the background for me. Like it's a very similar tone to this, and also it's very like even. Like you want to create, we always talk about dynamic shaping, some sort of light to value to dark fall off value, something along that range to really help it out. Like really give that character, like I said, a hero color, something to pop them off in the background, something to give shaping and life and all that good stuff. Additionally, with this one, we've got a lot of activity going on with the eyes, a lot of reflections going on in there. You just want to kind of tone those down. You don't want these like slashing, harsh lines going through them because that'll be a little bit too distracting. Also, the sky that you have in there, I really like that you're doing the gradient. I really like that is taking hold, but it's getting a little bit kind of super bright here at the bottom, and it's nice because it's creating this glowy effect. But additionally, it's kind of hard to read the character off of it. And it's also like tough to determine the time of day or like the mood that you're going for, because it's a little bit softer and it's a little bit glowier, but just not, it's not feeling quite cohesive. So with this one, and again, one of the, I guess, requirements for this is that you're going to include some reference images. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you find some reference image to find like a certain look at a certain time of day. One thing you want to watch out for too is the blur that you're getting. It doesn't feel like it's depth based. It feels like an Instagram filter where it's radially based. Like this is more out of focus than this, and it feels like there's like a similar plant. Like all the stuff up here is out of focus and all the stuff down here is in focus. And that's not exactly what we want. We want depth of field to be based on Z depth. Otherwise, it just, like I said, it just feels like an Instagram filter. And that's not great. Also, like there's kind of a double focus right now. There's like this isn't sharp and he's in sharp, but like his hand is a little blurry and the hat's a little bit blurry. So like it just feels like the depth of field is manipulated outside of this realm of believability. When you look at it, like a general audience member is not going to look at it and go like, oh yeah, that's depth of field is twisted outside the realm of possibility. But they're going to look at it and go, this feels odd. Like it feels a little bit strange. So you don't want to break that too much. But I like the bounce light you're getting. I like some of these values that you're getting. But I would really like to see you focus on dialing, getting that tunnel in, getting some sky reference, maybe adding some more detail back there, because it's like it's taking up a lot of screen real estate, and it would be nice to get a little bit more detail, maybe some clouds, maybe some just different atmospheric elements going on back there would be really nice. And then just watch out for the eyes, and then getting some more life on the snail there. Next up is another really nice one. Again, like beautiful, beautiful reference. Same issue as the first one that we're seeing with like your head's in the right place with adding all of this green bounce light in there, but it's just kind of sucking away some of the life out of like his neck in here and the back of his hand here. So just neutralize that light specifically on the character, because we want his, like this one's all about, like, look at this guy, like he's also surrounded by all this green light, but he's got just warmth all throughout him. And that's an artistic choice, which allows us to really pop his warm tones off of the cool background. Love this amount of like bounce light that's happening up in here. I would really try and get that type of warmth and that type of bounce up in here, and then up in the hat. Doesn't need to quite be that extreme, but just like really kind of like the whole scene is just feeling like an like all like, you know, glowy and happy and goodness and all the good things. And we just want to like really feel that on him, like it's just like this like awe-inspiring glow. Few other things I was noticing. Put that down. Move this up a little bit. You've got a difficult choice to make when it comes to some depth of field stuff, because like you've got actually 3 focal points. You know, you want to see this guy, you want to see him, and you want to see him. And I'm guessing what I would do if it was my choice is figure out a way to get all these elements back here, back behind the 3 of them, and up here, get all that out of focus. That way you can really kind of center in on these 3. And then one thing you really want to watch out for is, I know that there's a strong light coming in this way, and I like what you're doing here with the rim, but it's really, really strong. Like it's almost like a hard white line around the outside of them there. So I would just soften that and diffuse it a little bit, so it's like comes in just a little bit, and it's also softer. And then if there's any way, so I was looking at your reference image here, and one of the things I really like is that dapple of shadow on his chest. If there's any way to, because like right now there's just kind of like this uniform kind of outline, like super brightness on his hat. And I guess there's a little bit of shadow break up there, but that's not really reading as shadow. It almost looks like the hat's dirty. So I would maybe like look at this value and try and break it up a little bit on his hat. And just create, so like you, because it looks like you're adding some, like a back plate of like some tall trees back there. So let's really feel some leaves breaking up on them to help expand that space a little bit. But overall, I like the color palette. And oh, and last thing is just really kind of focus in on getting the tunnel effect. Darker, 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 darker. And it like your lighter values are there. It's just like kind of darkening around the edges and vignetting a little bit in there. So that one's looking really good. This one also, again, you guys are doing some really great stuff. Just getting in and really liking that this is glowing. Want to feel the glow a little bit more here. Like that we're kind of centering in here. This is all working out really well. I want to see more of this color like influence in on his face. Like in here, maybe like reflected in his eyes, maybe a little bit around. The other thing is like you're doing a really good job of getting this on his face, but the brim of his hat's actually closer to this on his faces. So I would expect to see a little bit of like this light bouncing up in here, like the depth of field that you're getting. Watch out for, and this is a very common one. I struggled with this one for a while, was getting too much contrast between the fingers. Again, there's some transmittance going on in there, so you're gonna wanna get a little of that. Watch out for, again, some of these green values in here. You don't want that to be too dark, or I'm sorry, too off model. You want to make sure that he's maintaining his skin tone and not looking too sickly. In this far background, it's like too much contrast. There's like bright points and there's dark points, and the bright points are also super saturated. Tone down the saturation on the background. Also get those brights to come down, and maybe like lift the, like lower the brights, lift the darks a little bit, just to kind of even it out back there. Not like super lifted or anything, but the problem is that you don't want that much contrast in a night scene, because it's kind of like the moonlight's a little more diffuse, like it's already reflected light, it's reflected off the sun, so it's going to kind of come down a little bit more uniformly. Love that you have these stars up here, that they're adding a little bit of like sparkle effect to it. But yeah, overall this is great. Oh, and then when you're like, there's some nice glowing that's happening here, but the edges of these guys are still pretty pretty consistent. So I would just like visually in a lens of a camera, you'd see a little bit of a, like not like this perfect of a line right there. There'd be a little bit of a blur going on. But yeah, this one's coming along well. It's very similar setup here. Love the Epic reference, one of my favorite films that I've worked on. But yeah, and a couple things you can see from this is that there's like this lens effect, light glow, like lens flare thing. You can add that in a little bit, like maybe there's a little bit of a lens artifact that's going on here. Watch out, there's some weird artifacting that's going on around the edge of this, so just look out for that. It might be a depth of field thing. Love the influence that you're getting on the character here. I think that's really nice. Love that it's hitting his hand. It feels like everything in this space is starting to really feel like it's making sense. I don't want to give too many eye-ding notes because they're a little bit trivial, but like you've got two of them here in each eye, and I would just make sure to limit it to one, maybe lift it up so it's right in here, right around that 10 o'clock position, which would be nice. And also glow them a little bit and warm them up a little bit because, again, you want it to feel all connected. You want to feel all this space connected. And what you want is it's almost like like you can even put in like the snail image into the eye and kind of glow that up a little bit in order to make that happen. I love this kind of lifted blue value that you're getting back here. It really makes it feel like it's falling back into space. The last thing I would just say was just try and get some more dark values here. Maybe on these couple strands and a little bit in here. I know it's picking up light, but just like a little bit of darkness to get that tunnel effect. But really, really nice job there. With this headlamp one, again, really cool. Two things I want to see out of it. Number one is I want the camera, I want to see his whole body. So I want the camera to be shifted over just a little bit or maybe pull back a little. I like the darkness that we're getting back there. It'd be okay, like I said, in the other one, just to get like a little bit of value up in here. But, and then reserve some of these super darks for this closer foreground area. But I'm really getting the feeling like we're coming in here and really getting a feeling of the spotlight. I would just do a couple things. I also love the subsurface scattering you're getting in there. That looks really, really nice. It feels right to the scale. It could maybe a little bit more because again, the snail is super teeny tiny. But the one thing or the two things that I want to see are this. Number one, we've got a super bright light coming down. I really want to feel the secondary bounce of that light coming back on him. So I want to light up his face a little bit more, but really feel like it's a big, soft, reflective light that's shining up from the bottom, and really get that. And then I want to get more bounce light in there, and then this light, the source of the glow, like this feels a little bit too soft. I almost want to feel it a little bit, like I'm talking about the actual physical look of the light. I want to feel a little bit tighter on the edge, and in addition to that, like kind of diffuse overall glow. Like I want to feel a little bit more laser focus on it, and then I also want to darken this fill value just a little bit. And watch out for this, and I would take down that rim light a little bit, especially there and there. Just keep it on this side. Because I want the primary light source to be this, like it's all about this flashlight, all about this discovery. So I want the fill light to be really, really secondary to the bounce light and then the direct spotlight. But overall, this is a really, really cool structure. And I think that you're going in the right place. And actually, this reference, I think the same thing with that one. I think we can get a little tighter in here and then just like allow, like to have that same softness, but get a little bit more laser focus on the original. This guy's also, again, looking great. I want to feel more connection between this and the hand. I want to feel like he's getting close to it. Like I want to feel that light glowing on him. Watch the tangent space between these two. His face in this iteration is looking a little bit like sunburnt red and a little dark. I would expect, like I said, a little bit more light to come on him. And since the light is cooler, again, we don't want to drain away his saturation, drain away his life. So make that light on him almost like whiter. And less saturated, so that it can feel like it's just his hero color. So we're allowing his little bit of warmth to bounce off in this entire enclosed space. One thing I want to look at, I really like this reference, is notice how bright the character is getting there and how the focus is really coming in on him from this kind of moonlight there. So you can mimic that a little bit with the value on him and the value here. I would be fine if like this whole area gets dark and the only light that's emitting is coming out of him and affecting the area around it, and then And this character is really, and the little boy is actually being hit directly with some moonlight. It's hard to tell which way the moonlight's coming in on either side. To really get like that type of look, that light over dark value, I think you can really get that going there. Okay, 2 more. Love this reference. Love the good dinosaur stuff. I think same thing. Watch out for the dead hands back here. Want to make sure to maintain some warmth and separation. You can make the eye you can make the eye reflections a little bit more green. And I know like normally we talk about just like an individual eye ding, but maybe make this one brighter, a little bit bigger, and then just have like some smaller glowy elements around over there to kind of reflect the surrounding space. I think you can probably, so let me turn this off so I can see. You might be able to go a little bit darker. You might be able to go a little bit darker. So it's nice to have this moonlight, have that hit. I like these little rims and stuff you're getting back there, but like intermittently, this area back behind him here, like this stuff, especially, and then a little bit in here can go a little bit darker. And I would, trying to think compositionally, I would keep, like this one's nice here, but I would move this guy over a little bit because you want to keep all the focus kind of right here in the middle. Like this one's fine because I just think it looks really cool, but you want to move him in there so that this light, instead of hitting the outside of the shell, hits like here and here. And that way we can allow this area to get darker, and then really kind of just, again, focus in on this interaction here. Again, watch the connection point there. And then everything else is looking pretty good. But just, oh, and I would kill this little flower. I know that's probably in there, but for some reason it's throwing the scale off for me a little bit. And if somebody, I might have missed that on some other ones, but for some reason right there, I just noticed it. But it's just like, it makes him feel like a super giant. So just watch out for that. This one's cool. I see in your reference here, you've got some squarer, taller aspect ratios, totally fine. I think I mentioned this to a TDU student a couple weeks ago when they posted, but just be aware of the aspect ratio that you use. It all makes a difference. It all matters. Like if you go longer landscape, you're thinking more cinematically. You're thinking more telling like talking about a vast world. If you want to make the audience feel a little more compressed, that's when you do these square formats. There's some films I've seen recently that kind of play with format throughout the scene or throughout the film. So it's like when you want the audience to feel bigger, you open it up. If you want them to feel a little more claustrophobic, you squeeze it down a little bit. So just be aware of that whenever you're lighting. So a couple things, I would get a little bit more shadow in down here. I would really emphasize on the character on his face. Again, bounce light. It's all about this bounce light. Fake it in there. Like put a card there. Really bounce it up. You know, this is again, what you have here would be, I would say, photo real-ish or natural. But cinematically, we want to just like feel this connection between him and the earth, between him and the snail, between him and this low area. So if I was shooting this for a film, I would add a light source down there and really kind of glow it up. So it's like like I said, he's really like give him something to really lean into, like a fun light source there. I think you get more shaping on the hat here. I think we can make the determination which side, left or right, the key is coming in from, because right now it feels a little bit universal. I would just, have that be more one side or the other here. I lost my pen there. Oh, there we go. More like this way or this way. I think the greens in the grass might be getting a little bit saturated. So especially like in here, just maybe try pulling back that saturation a little bit. And then the last one, like pop this guy off. Back in here, it's getting a little bit flat and it doesn't look like it's being lit on a sunny day. So try and get some more key elements, like especially on that flower there, just some more key elements in there. And again, yeah, this is kind of a bad setup on our part. Sorry about that. Just kill these couple of flowers right underneath his chest. Again, making him feel like a super giant. Our bad on that. I won't hold that one against you when we're doing judging on these final ones. Okay, last one here. So again, some epic reference. You guys are doing great with that. Again, one of my favorite films. So I'm going to start with just looking at the reference, and then I'll come back to yours here. So this is one of my favorite shots. This is lit by a woman named Gina Kang, who was one of my mentors coming up to the industry. And just like beautiful, beautiful bounce light coming in here, right? Just like so much beautiful value. This is such a cool color palette, right? Like it's all these greens and they're just like different variations. And there's like a subtle bit of magenta purples, specifically in here that really allow it to kind of pop off. Again, dark values, dark values. You feel the haze back there in the distance, but that allows the foreground stuff to pop forward. And then just kind of creating almost like a circle in here with these leaves to really kind of center the focus all up on this guy. And then if you look at his face, so much shaping, right? It's almost like perfect Rembrandt lighting. There's a little triangle there, side, this pen. See if I can do this like one pixel, like perfect triangle there, like shaping left to right. Like look at the shaping on each one of these individual like tentacles on them. Just so much focus on it. Again, dapple of, we were very big on the dapple of leaves and surrounding trees on this. This was done almost 10 years ago now. So our rendering capabilities weren't what they are now. So we would have to turn off a lot of the surroundings and just use gobo lighting to get those in there. And so now use this against what we're seeing here. So again, color palette's very green. Here we're getting a lot more just like it's a more wide, it's a wider value range or wider color scheme. So I would just really dial that in and really think about just kind of like get this background, instead of it being like a saturated blue sky, think about putting this volumetric rate back there and getting that to be like a separating point. Maybe even creating like a, maybe making it a little bit more dense by adding some geometry or even just an image plane back there to make it feel like it's like super dense. And so we can get that real green palette. Look at the shaping on this guy and try and get that similar shaping coming across him here. You're doing a good job of keeping the warmth on his hand, but this glowy element's kind of overtaking everything. So I would just kind of push that back a little bit. Turn this off and just want to create more warmth and life out of this snail. There's just too much contrast down here, a little bit too much darkness going in here that's not really dialed into the scene. Again, dialed into the composition. Think again, tunnel, 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 tunnel. Drive everything back from these dark values, maybe not right there, but like in here and in here to kind of drive everything back over the middle. Because again, like you're getting some dark values in here and then light values in there, and it's just not, it's not as focused, it's not as centered. Watch the edges of these. These are looking pretty sharp. When you're going through stuff, you want some depth of field in the foreground, depth of field in the background. It looks like the character's getting blurred out just a little bit. That's totally fine. Really helps keep the attention here, but let's really build a payoff for the audience, right? Turn this one off again. Like really build a payoff here. Like make him like feel special in some way, right? Like it just kind of feels like he's being lit the same way as the mushroom, just like happenstance by the surroundings. So just like really kind of pipe him up and really focus on getting him looking good. So pull this out now. Okay, so I think that's all of them. Again, if this is being recorded and will be uploaded to the site as well. So if I missed anybody, feel free to let me know. Facebook is great at being a place where we can post images very easily. You already have accounts there. We can comment, we can talk about things. But like for me coming back a couple weeks later and trying to go through and find everyone, I always feel like I might be missing something. So please let me know if I either didn't get your latest and greatest or if I missed your project, and I'll be happy to take a look at it. So final tidbits, what day is it today? Today is the 26th. You have until the end of the month, which is the 30th of November, to get these posted by midnight. On December 1st, first I'll go through all the final submissions, take a look, we'll declare a winner, and we'll go from there. And then I'll also be announcing December's challenge as well. So hope you guys got energy. We're gonna keep rolling, and wish all of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving a very happy Thanksgiving, and be safe traveling if you're traveling places. And I look forward to talking to you all soon. All right, happy lighting, everyone.